That's pretty big. So again, for us, it's due on the 24th at 11:59. There's a Dropbox. Yes, I just made that and put it up before I came here. It's a nonverbal project. So it's individual project. It's nonverbal test creation. So you're creating a test about nonverbal communication. Only chapter 4. So the only content that you can use for this test is the nonverbal communication chapter. And I'll say that again and again and again. Just look at the nonverbal chapter. For most of you, that's chapter 4. If you have an older version of the text, that's one of the things that changed, so it may not be the same chapter number. Again, you're looking at nonverbal communication. So the first section of our book covers the basic concepts before we got into public speaking, and they're designed to be a basic foundation which gives a framework for additional learning. Your individual project is designed for you to demonstrate your understanding of one of these topics, which is nonverbal communication. One way to demonstrate your understanding of a concept is to create an evaluation tool for it. And in other words, you're going to be responsible for creating a test and an answer key, which is designed to demonstrate your understanding. So you can't just create a really cool test and say, yeah, that would be hard if somebody had to take it, and not give me the answer key. So you're creating a test along with an answer key that goes with it. What the test should look like: 25 multiple choice and 5 short answer questions. So it's not huge. Truly, it's a total of 30 questions. The multiple, and here's where it gets trickier. The multiple choice items should contain language of your own creation and should not come from the textbook. So in other words, don't copy a definition from the text and use it in your test. I want you to create your own. So you use the text as a reference, use our nonverbal communication PowerPoint as a reference, but don't copy the definition from the textbook and put it into your test, because this is designed to show me your understanding of the concepts, not to show me the fact that you can cut and paste things out of your textbook. Yes?
Can we like use like a paragraph from the text, like a scenario type thing, if those are in there, and then create our multiple choice from those, kind of like you're going to do?
Yes, that's an awesome question. You can use, if they have a scenario from the textbook, that might be a really good way to get that information or put together an example, a scenario to use. Perfect, no problem. Because again, then you're demonstrating your understanding of those concepts. I have no problem with that. So let's continue on, and we'll get to additional questions. Your test items should include no more than 10 items related to definitions. The remaining items should be application questions, or things that actually involve examples, and synthesis or comparison questions. So we talked about this a little bit last class. A definition question would be something like, the sender is the person who receives the message, decodes the message, originates the message, makes meaning of the message. That would be creating a definition. So the sender is the person who originates the message. That would be creating a definition of your own. That's not exactly what's in the textbook. That would be an example of a definition thing. If I would say, provide you with a scenario, then you're looking at an application type of question, because I'm giving you an example. So the one that you guys did on your quiz, where there was a driver who had a flat tire and the person called the tow truck company, I would say, which of the following in that example was the sender? The tow truck company or the driver? The driver, because the driver in that scenario called the tow truck company. So that person sent the message. That's an example question rather than a definition question. So that's a little bit harder. And then the last type of question that you might use is comparison questions. So I would say perhaps something like, when you are upset and trying to explain why you're upset, which would be easier for you to utilize to share information with someone when you're upset, vocalics or touch. And there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer. You would probably also put why. And you would say, for me, touch, when I gave you this example last time, for me, touch would be easier because when I'm very upset and I begin to speak, I cry because I'm a wimp. And so utilizing paralanguage, my tone of voice and that sort of thing really wouldn't work. So instead, I like to give a hug or something like that. So I'm comparing two concepts. Or another example, and I think I used this already, in a loud, crowded party, you're trying to begin conversation with someone on the other side of the room, which would be a better nonverbal type of communication to use, paralanguage or oculesics, eye contact. Well, the room is very crowded, it's very loud, the person's on the other side of the room, they probably wouldn't be able to hear my paralanguage, my rate of voice, my tone of voice, so eye contact to begin interaction would probably be more effective. So those are the different kinds of questions, comparing concepts, providing examples of concepts, and then just defining concepts. So you can have 10 of your 25 that are just basic definitions, and that's an easy way to cover the basic concepts initially. And then you want to provide examples and say which one of these is an example of oculesics, which one of these is an example of paralanguage. And then you don't have to have a certain number of application or synthesis questions. You might have all synthesis or all application beyond that 10, but you only get 10 definition, because those are the easy ones. And again, you're trying to demonstrate to me that you understand these concepts. Question?
Is there a minimum for how many answers each question has to have?
Must be at least 3 for your multiple choice.
So there can't be true, false?
No, let's not go with true, false. I want it to be multiple choice instead of true, false. Because usually you're trying to, again, demonstrate you understand the concepts, and I have to come away after grading the test saying, yep, they got it. And providing the true, false is a way oftentimes that people skirt around that. I've seen it enough, and it's just a better thing to not get into that. In terms of number of options for your multiple choice, 3 or 4 is good. I also had somebody give me a multiple choice test with just 2 options one time, and that didn't work out very well either. So 3 or more. Okay, and then beyond this, again, remember the purpose is to demonstrate your understanding. Your multiple choice items should include examples that show me you understand the material. Going on to your short answer. Your short answer questions should demonstrate, again, your understanding of the material and develop your thoughts, because you are providing the answers, right? So if it's a short answer question and you answer it with 1 sentence, probably not enough. You should have about 3 sentences or more, up to a paragraph, but you really shouldn't need any more than that. And then lastly, your answer key has to be complete, providing answers for both the multiple choice and short answer questions. I've had students sometimes not include the short answer, but that's really where you're demonstrating that you understand the concepts when you answer your own short answer questions. And again, you get to decide. You don't have to create a short answer question that you don't know the answer to. Make one that you do know the answer to, but provide that answer as well. So are there questions about, other than the different types of questions? I'm going to have some examples of those I put up here in a second. But other things like number, does true and false work? How many options do I have to have for a short answer? That sort of thing. Okay. I've had students provide 1 document that's your test and 1 document that's your answer key. I've had students have 1 document that's the test and they highlight the correct answer in red or make it bold or something like that. That format is up to you. As long as I know what the right answer is, you're good to go. So let's look at the different types of questions really quickly. Which of the following would be a good definition of vocalics? This one's a definition type. the words you hear when someone speaks, the sound you hear when someone sings, the sound you hear when someone speaks that do not include language, the gestures used when someone speaks. Well, we know what's vocalics in our own quick recollection, first of all. Anybody remember? It's the nonverbal sounds. Awesome. So the sounds that are not words. And remember, verbal is words. So which would be the nonverbal sounds? C. Yes, the nonverbal sounds you hear when someone speaks that don't include language. Very good. But again, that's a definition. I didn't give you an example. It's a definition. So if we go to the next one, which would be an application, it should include an example. Which of the following is an example of vocalics? The rate of speech when someone gives a presentation, the language a person uses to encode a message, the gestures used in a speech, or the eye contact used in a speech. A, you are doing very well on this test. Yes, it is A, the rate of speech when someone gives a presentation, because of vocalics is tone of voice, its rate, its loudness, its pitch, it's the quality, breathy, that sort of thing. All of that's vocalics. And then the last one, which might be considered a synthesis question, which would be more important in a crowded party, vocalics or haptics? Haptics is touch, and really you want to have this here too. And why? Well, if the room is crowded, again, very much like our prior example, it's crowded, we're assuming it's noisy, therefore vocalics would be difficult to discern, so touch would probably be more important in that situation. Okay, so you're looking at, I don't want to lie, 25 multiple choice, 5 short answer. And as you take the midterm that's coming up, you'll see examples of that, and you can kind of keep that in mind. You could take notes on your own notes if you want, if that's going to help you. It really doesn't matter to me. But sometimes you can use the same 4 multiple choice items for 2 or 3 different questions, especially when you're looking at definitions and that sort of thing. And that's all fine. Okay?